It's 8:17 p.m. You're standing in front of an ATM. The screen is on, but it's blank, not broken. Blank, no balance, no buttons, no try again. Just a cold rectangle of light staring back at you like it knows a secret. Behind you, a line. Quiet, too quiet. Because everybody's doing the same thing. Checking, refreshing, calling. And every answer sounds the same. System outage. Temporary routine, nothing to worry about. They always say that. Then your phone buzzes. A text. Card declined. One word hits your chest like a hammer. Declined. Your money didn't disappear. Not officially. It just stopped being yours. That's the real horror, not a robbery, a switch, a permission change, a rule update. And here's what most people never understand until it's too late. The system doesn't have to steal from you to ruin you. It just has to delay you, freeze you, throttle you. One little technical issue at the exact wrong moment. Now listen, silver just snapped today, not because the world got safer, not because inflation got fixed, not because Washington suddenly found morals. Silver snapped because the strong dollar pulled a lever. And when the dollar pulls that lever, silver doesn't just move, it reacts, like a pressure valve, like a spring held down for years by a boot. Here's the lie they sold the sleeping herd. A strong dollar means a strong country. Wrong. A strong dollar right now is a weapon. It's the casino raising the minimum bet while you're still sitting at the table. It's the system squeezing the last air out of the room. And when that squeeze happens, things crack. Quietly at first, then all at once. You've been trained to watch the stock market like it's a scoreboard. Green good, red bad. But the real war is elsewhere. It's in debt. It's in currency. It's in confidence. And silver? Silver is the smoke detector. It doesn't invest. It screams. Today it screamed. And what happens next comes down to 3 levels, 3 lines in the sand, 3 doors. Behind one door, a controlled shake. Behind the second, a stampede. Behind the third, a full-blown reset. And the people in charge, they're not trying to protect you. They're trying to protect the machine. Those are not the same thing. Not anymore. Let's talk about the mechanism, not opinions, not politics. Mechanism, because the machine runs on math. And math doesn't care how you feel. Here's the simple truth they can't say out loud. The U.S. is drowning in debt. Debt isn't a headline. Debt is a trap with a timer. Because debt demands interest, and interest demands cash. And cash demands printing. So they print. And when they print, your dollars don't multiply. They dilute, like pouring water into soup until it tastes like nothing. You still have a bowl. Sure, but it doesn't feed you anymore. Now add the strong dollar trigger. A strong dollar makes imports look cheaper on paper. It also crushes everything priced in dollars globally. Oil, foreign debt, precious metals. Because silver is priced in dollars, so when the dollar spikes, silver often gets shoved down. Not because silver lost value, because the measuring stick got warped. Imagine weighing gold with a scale that changes weight every hour. That's the dollar. Now here's where it gets ugly. The system needs the dollar strong for one reason: to keep foreigners buying U.S. debt, to keep the Titanic afloat. Because if the world stops lending to the U.S., interest rates jump. Refinancing gets brutal. The engine room floods. So they defend the dollar, and when they defend the dollar, they attack everything that competes with it. Gold, silver, hard assets. Because those are lifeboats, and lifeboats make passengers question the ship. Now let's do the math. Simple. No PhD required. If a government runs deficits year after year, it borrows. If it borrows, it pays interest. If interest rises, the payment explodes. That's the trap. And if the payment explodes, the government has 2 options: cut spending or inflate the debt away. Guess which one they choose. They don't cut, they delay, they rename the problem. Meanwhile, your cost of living climbs like a thief up a ladder. This isn't a theory. This is math. And retirees feel it first. Because you're not chasing promotions anymore. You're living off what you already built. And when the dollars get weaker, it's not an economic debate. It's your grocery cart. It's your utilities. It's your insurance. It's your property taxes. It's prescriptions. Imagine this. You walk into your usual grocery store. Same aisles, same lights, but the shelves look picked clean. Not from a storm, from fear. And fear spreads faster than any virus. You worked decades. You were told, save in dollars. Trust the institutions. Your pension is safe. Social Security will be there. FDIC has your back. Sounds comforting, like a warm blanket. But what happens to blankets in a fire? They burn. Let's talk about the so-called safety nets, FDIC, insurance, guarantees. Those promises are only as good as the issuer. And the issuer is the same entity that prints the money, So the guarantee is not real protection. It's permission to print more, which means even if you get made whole, you may get made whole in weaker dollars. Imagine this. You win your claim. You get your money back. But the grocery bill is double. The utility bill is triple. Property taxes jump. Your retirement check arrives, and it buys half a cart. That's not safety. That's a rigged refund. Now we come back to today. Silver snapped. Because the dollar did what it does. It tightened the noose. But here's the part they will not say on television. A strong dollar is a short-term trick, a sugar rush. It doesn't fix the debt. It doesn't fix spending. It doesn't fix promises. It just makes the eventual crash more violent. Because you can't solve a debt problem with more debt forever. Eventually, the bill shows up. And when it does, the game changes. Here's the hinge most people miss. Confidence is the real currency. If the system requires constant borrowing, and borrowing requires confidence, then confidence is the oxygen. And oxygen is fragile. One crack and the whole thing becomes a run. Not just on banks, on the dollar itself. And when that happens, silver doesn't politely rise. It gaps, it jumps, it explodes. Because it's not just an asset, it's an escape hatch. Now I promised you 3 levels. I'll make them so clear you can picture them. Level 1 is the dollar squeeze. That's the phase where the dollar stays firm and keeps pressing metals down. The herd laughs. They say, see, metals are dead. This is when weak hands sell. This is when the awakened accumulate quietly. Level 2 is the stress fracture. This is where something breaks. A bank, a bond auction, a foreign buyer, a major institution. A crack you can hear. You'll feel it in the tone of the headlines. That's when the dollar can whip around violently, and silver moves fast. Level 3 is the trust break. This is the big one. This is when the public realizes the guarantees are theater. When trust breaks, people stop asking, what's the price? They start asking, can I get it? That's when shelves go bare. That's when the paper number becomes a joke. Because the real market isn't the screen. It's availability. Those are the 3. Squeeze, fracture, trust break. And right now, we are in the fog before the iceberg shows itself. And here's why silver is so dangerous to them. Silver isn't just a shiny rock. It's money, and it's an industrial metal. It sits inside solar panels, electronics, medical equipment, everything modern that still needs something real to work. So when demand rises, it doesn't ask permission. And when supply is tight, it doesn't magically appear. They can print dollars in seconds. They cannot print ounces. That's the difference. And it's why the paper game matters. Because paper can pretend there's plenty until the real world shows up and says, deliver. And when real demand meets paper promises, that's when the snap turns into a surge. Oh, now we talk about the trap, not what they admit, what they're building. Because systems don't just fail anymore, they get redesigned quietly, behind committees, behind pilot programs, behind phrases like modernization. And the trap is simple. If they can make money digital, they can make money controllable. And controllable money is the dream of every corrupt system. Because it's not just taxation anymore, it's permission, it's punishment, it's behavior control. You already see the blueprint? Cash is dirty. Oh, yes. Cash is for criminals. So they reduce it, limit it, discourage it. Then they offer the shiny replacement, a government-backed digital currency, a button on your phone, a safer dollar, convenient, fast, modern, and deadly. Because once your money lives inside their system, they can set rules, they can set time limits, they can set categories, they can flip switches. Sorry, that purchase is not allowed. Sorry, your account is under review. Sorry, this transaction requires approval. And the sleeping herd will say, that can't happen here. Right up until it happens. Imagine this. You go to fill your gas tank. Your card works, but the pump stops early. A message pops up. Limit reached. You call customer service, they rate a script. It's for compliance. You argue, they hang up. Now imagine this. Your granddaughter needs medicine. You go to pay. Declined. Not because you're broke, because the category is restricted. You're not a citizen anymore. You're a user. And users can be paused. Now imagine this. Your pension arrives, but it's adjusted because the budget is strained. Because the system needs shared sacrifice. Shared. Meaning you, not them. Because when the system is in trouble, it doesn't cut the perks at the top. It tightens the screws at the bottom, always. And here's the cruelest part. They will blame you. They'll blame greedy consumers. They'll blame supply chain disruptions. They'll blame speculators. They'll blame anyone except the printer, except the debt, except themselves. This is why silver matters. Because silver is one of the few things that doesn't require permission to exist. It's not a number in an account. It's not an IOU. It's not a promise. It's a thing. Heavy, cold, real. And the trap is that most people won't buy it until it's too late. They wait for confirmation. They wait for the news to admit it. They wait until the lifeboats are gone. And when they finally wake up, they all wake up at once. That's when shortages happen. That's when premiums spike. That's when available becomes the new word for expensive. Today's snap is a warning shot. The market is telling you something, not in words, in movement, in stress, in volatility. The strong dollar trigger is not good news, it's pressure. And pressure always looks for a release point. Remember the Titanic. The band played, the lights stayed on. The announcement said, remain calm. But the water didn't care. The water kept coming. And when the tilt became obvious, it was already over. That's how financial collapses work. Slow, then sudden. And if you're 55 plus, you don't have 30 years to ride it out. You need certainty. You need control. You need something outside the casino. Because that's what this is, a casino. Now let's talk about the trick they use on silver. They suppress it with paper. They flood the market with promises, contracts, derivatives, paper claims on metal. It's like selling 1,000 tickets to one seat. Looks fine until everyone shows up. Then the truth appears. There isn't enough. And when enough people demand delivery, that's when the paper game breaks. That's level 3, the trust break. And that's why today matters, because snaps aren't random. They're signals. They're stress tests. They show where the fault lines are. And the fault lines are widening. So what's the exit? Not a quick trade, an exit, a lifeboat, physical silver, physical gold. Not because you worship metal, because you understand governments, because you understand what happens when systems panic. Physical metal is not a bet. It's insurance, it's survival, it's freedom. It's a bearer asset, meaning if you hold it, you own it. No password, no permission, no counterparty, no processing delay, no customer service call. It just is. That's why it terrifies them, because it removes you from their leash. Now let's make this painfully real. Counterparty risk. That's the monster hiding in the closet. Counterparty risk means your wealth depends on someone else keeping a promise. The bank promises to let you withdraw. The broker promises your shares exist. The pension promises it can pay. The government promises your dollars will hold value. Promises. And under pressure, promises get rewritten. Ask anyone who lived through bank freezes. Temporary withdrawal limits, emergency measures, haircuts, account reviews. Those aren't fairy tales. That's what happens when lifeboats are too few. So what's the goal? To be your own central bank, not on paper. In reality, to hold a portion of your savings in something that cannot be printed, cannot be digitally frozen, cannot be diluted by a policy meeting. Silver is especially brutal for the system because it's the people's metal, more accessible, smaller units, easier to barter, easier to use. And in a world where trust is breaking, trust gets replaced by tangible things, a handshake, a coin, a real weight in your palm. Now picture this. Imagine this. A normal Tuesday. No sirens, no riots, just a new rule, a limit. Oh, a security update. When you go to withdraw cash, the teller smiles too much. They say, we can do $200 today. You say, but it's my money. They say, of course, it's just policy. Policy, that word is a cage. Now imagine this. Your neighbor knocks. He's frantic. His account is locked. His auto payments are bouncing. He's never held anything real. When he's looking at you with the eyes of a man who just realized the ship is tilting. What will you have? A screen? Or a stash? A promise? Or a bearer asset? That's the difference. And that's why those 3 levels matter. Level 1 is where they try to scare you out. Level 2 is where they try to confuse you. Level 3 is where they try to trap you. Because when trust breaks, they don't say, you were right. They say, new rules. They say, for your safety. And they expect obedience, unless you already stepped outside the fence. Now, here's the part that might sting. Most people don't lose their savings in one dramatic collapse. They lose it in slow motion. One price increase at a time, one adjustment at a time. One new fee, one new temporary program, until one day they look up and realize the retirement they earned has been traded for survival, and they didn't even agree to the deal. So here's the takeaway. Physical metal is not about making money. It's about not losing your life's work. It's about stepping off the Titanic before the tilt becomes visible. It's about having lifeboats when everyone else is still laughing at lifeboats. And yes, silver snapped today, and the strong dollar trigger is part of the story. But the bigger story is this. They are cornered. Debt cornered them. Promises cornered them. Math cornered them. So they will do what cornered systems always do. They will grab. They will control. They will redefine. They will say it's for your safety. And they will expect you to comply. Unless you have an exit, unless you hold something outside their reach. Only you can decide what to do with your retirement. But you deserve the truth the system won't say. Because the system needs you asleep. It needs you trusting screens. It needs you holding paper. It needs you believing promises. And the moment you stop believing, the moment you start converting promises into reality, that's when you become hard to control. That's when you become free. So here's my question. If the rules change tomorrow morning, would you be ready by tomorrow night? Or would you be standing in that line again, watching a blank screen, waiting for permission to access what you earned? If you want to survive what's coming, subscribe to AG Reporter. Not for entertainment, for warning signals, for the levels they don't want you watching. Because the next time the ATM is blank, it won't matter what you meant to do. It will only matter what you already did. And here's the thought I want to leave stuck in your mind. A system built on promises can collapse overnight. A system built on real things doesn't need permission to stand. One of these worlds is coming. Choose which one you want to live in.